Let's go. Looks like the Polish nationalists have taken over here. Yeah, national populists. Essentially, they're under control of fascists here. Well, they are still in good relations with the Germans, so who knows? Maybe they'll actually join them in the war. I don't know. Canadians are making some good progress here, actually. I'm surprised. I was expecting them to be pushed back into the sea. The French Republic is still holding out here in this one little area. Definitely interesting. That's... forgot to do that. Start the countdown to destroy the remaining areas here. The United Baltic Duchy has capitulated. It's another part of the... Oops. Really? We don't have any names for it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's good enough for now. So... yeah, those will be the names of our first few aircraft carriers. I'll just develop one, though, for now, and I'll put it in with the main battle fleet. Let's help our Russian comrades here, then. What else do we... see. Not have any? Alright. And we have a battleship here, too. And now for the battleship names. Alright. That. Perfect. That's the shipment there. Perfect. Okay. We have a battleship as well as that. Okay. American Artists Congress. Excuse me. The American Artists Congress is an organization that has been created to unite artistic people from around the country and help promote the arts within America. From traditional artwork to filmmaking are all supported within the Artists Congress. It quickly has become a popular organization to show the new avant-garde art of the revolution. Their chairman, Ernest Hemingway, has already begun a plan of series of patriotic publications on life during the revolution. Ernest Hemingway's appointment to chairman has caused some backlash from artists like John Dos Passos and John Steinbeck, who claim Ernst's politics have turned authoritarian in recent years due to his work in producing propaganda for the 1936 U.S. election. Art for the masses. Okay. Actually going to redeploy our troops to the north here. So start building a few air bases here then too. Because once the war begins, the first thing we're going to have to do is essentially War Plan Red and strike north hard and fast. Pause that there for just a moment. And next we'll do transformative justice. Although we firmly dealt with the old American elite, there's still a sizable popular movement opposing our new regime. We'll need to pacify any remaining counter-revolutionary cells and make sure to track down every last infiltrator in our midst before we can finally be sure we've won. Perfect. The trial of the federal government. With the revolution over, the time has come now to deal with those that fought against us. The charges against, among other former Federalist politicians, Douglas MacArthur, that of seizing the government and suspending civil rights in defense of conservative Democrats. Henry I have no idea how to say that name. Morgenthau Jr. has appeared in MacArthur's stead. Due to his recent exile, representing the business and social interests of the old regime, Morgenthau stated that it was only under MacArthur that the mob violence against Jews committed by AFP was halted. The testimony of MacArthur's reluctance to accept extra legal power, and his personal accounts of admiring the socialist Jamix Coxey has swayed some. Ultimately, the jury has decided to, and they weighed the same options as before here then. But just like the last one, we are going to pardon the federal leaders. Good. Malice towards none, charity to all. Moment here then. Okay. I'm kind of a little tired of the backlash in the woods there. I'm surprised that this pocket of Union troops is still there. Canadians are probably going to stay there for a little while now, honestly. I don't really... Unfortunately, can't really see how they're doing there, so... Fortunately, we're kind of left in the dark. It appears that things in the east here have kind of stabilized a little bit. Still some grounds that the Russians are making, but it's definitely slowed down a little bit here. Imagine so, especially given the situation. It's a little while yet, then. Fall of Rome. Today, a general commanding Italian forces secured the surrender of the Eternal City. For days beforehand, Italian troops had fought through the suburbs, and while some of the swampy areas were still under Roman control, the major highway through the center of Rome and the Vatican City was completely locked down. Roman soldiers have been dispersing into the low foothills surrounding the ancient capital of the Roman Empire. The Socialist Republic of Italy has been careful to announce that the special military police are on hand in the city to prevent the looting of St. Peter's Basilica and the Pantheon. They are in negotiation with the Pope to see that excuse me, to see what autonomy the Vatican can retain while under Italian occupation. Will Rome recover from it? So, and they've capitulated, and they're likely going to be annexed here then, the moment if they aren't part of any. Oh, they are part of a faction, so they're not going to be annexed quite yet. Let's see how the war's going in South America. It's still pretty much where it was before, though Brazilians have definitely been pushed back some. Oh, the opposite actually. The pro-Bolivians have been pushed back. You know, I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit, and I actually think I'm gonna let Puerto Rico be. I don't really see any need to bring them back into the fold. Who knows, that might change depending on the situation, but at the moment I'm thinking I'm gonna leave them alone. John Reed Clubs. Throughout the country, a number of literature clubs called John Reed Clubs have emerged. They are to help organize writers across the country in promoting reading and literacy through local communities. They focus on socialist literature and in particular the corpus of John Reed's nonfiction work. You know. I'll have them continue training for now, I suppose. Doesn't hurt having them do that. Stop construction. Alright. I don't have enough points yet, but for the next one then I think we're gonna rebuild New England. But the Canadians definitely held us down there for the longest time. Got to continue on this bombing. Troops amassed along the northern border here then. Mexico has all their troops stationed there. A little nerve-wracking, but I don't know. Promoting sewer socialism. In the old days of the Socialist Party, successes were measured by how clean your sewer system was, especially in Wisconsin, where Morris Hillquit made his campaign a promise to clean up the city. In reforming and organizing public maintenance services, Hillquit showed that socialism could reorganize systems without having to redefine or destroy the foundations of the system. That principle of sewer socialism must be taken to the whole of the nation. Wow, I got lost there. Now that the chains are broken, many cities such as Pittsburgh are filled with pollution that fills the skies. Now that the revolution is over, cities all across the country shall be cleaned up and modernized. We hope that the international community can appreciate a clean sewer as much as it does a skyscraper. Definitely one good way to do it. No, pollution is definitely something you do not want to have. Both in this new America and in America in real life too. Kind of pisses me off how the government has been deregulating all the environmental policies. Ukraine's now capitulated too. Hang on. Oh, that's interesting. So Poland's not officially a part of the Reichspakt, however, it is still involved in the war, actually. It's part of it as the associated power, I believe. Oh, we're gonna... on the next thing. We're gonna embark on the social revolution. Land of the free and the home of the brave was anything but. We have our work cut out for us to rid America of corruption, racism, and chauvinism, yet first we must tear up the very core of all these things, the capitalist system itself. To see how that happens. Also, we're at partial recovery of the Civil War now at this point. The cities have returned to some level of stability, and currency is starting to come back into use as bartering fades. The mass graves are now covered in saplings and flowers as the nation slowly claws itself back from collapse. Alright. Let's start rebuilding New England. Oh, the West Indies joins the Internationale. Nice. I was just kind of thinking there for a minute, because I'm kind of wondering if I should actually just join in the war now, because it looks like that the Internationale might have an advantage here, but I don't know, it might be a little longer than I'm anticipating here. I'll see what happens. Might at least do the next step part here, this one here. So, we'll get to that once the part here is done. Oops. Let's modernize our Air Force. Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting Poland and Lithuania to just break up like that. Oh, it looks like the king is still ruling in Lithuania now. Looks like the Germans have been able to liberate some parts of the United Baltic Duchy. Longest bombing in South Carolina. Oh, Ireland is really being taken over here. Union is really making progress. Oh, and they capitulated. One part of the Reichspakt that's taken care of then. But as I was gonna say though, I really like South Carolina. It is one of my favorite states, and my family likes to go on vacation on Endestow Island. And in fact, later this summer, my folks are planning to vacation down there too a little more. I know with COVID going on right now, it's a little risky, but we're probably gonna just risk it anyways. And now we're gonna destroy some of the loyalist terrorists here. Productions pretty well here. Increase our production to medium tanks. I want a good armored corps. Oh. Destroy these terrorists too, then at the same time. It's sad. We've gone from very strong to strong longest resistance. Our initial counter-terrorism efforts are showing some promise, but the longest resistance groups are tough nuts to crack. Some peripheral terrorists have been arrested and a few safe houses raided, but this has had little impact. Alright. Oh, hello. Bit of a comeback there. Alright. Oh, wow, and the Russians are really starting to push into Sweden. You know, I think I might actually just join the war. So it looks like it is starting to reach the end game a little bit, honestly. So here. We'll do the next step. Oh, with victory having been achieved, America is now at the forefront of the syndicalist revolution. The question is, where do we go next? Make a few more armored divisions. Perfect. Fortunately, we don't really have many medium tanks, but we can do with light tanks for now. a few more going there. And we definitely need to start up our military production again. Another Federalist bombing in Virginia. Have them return to port. Alright. The 1941 World Series. The 1941 World Series of baseball is here, and this is the first World Series since the Revolution, and attendance is high. 7 games of baseball over 6 days as Cincinnati Reds fought the Detroit Tigers. The games are extremely close, so the final game is anyone's guess. And the winner is... And once again, it's another 50-50 chance, so... Let's see who wins it. And the Detroit Tigers win! Congratulations to the Detroit Tigers. As a Brewers fan, that kind of... I don't know, I don't really have the words for it. I think I'd probably care a little more if it were the Cubs that won. The Cubs are the main rival to the Brewers, of course, so... Yeah, obviously the next step here... We're definitely gonna have to join the war, because I want to be at the peace tables once Germany capitulates. So I kind of want to remodel Europe into the idea that I had in mind as well, so... I definitely want to be at the peace talks, so... Well, I just want to make sure that we're not left out. Oh wow, the West Indies are making good progress here. Yeah, unfortunately, we won't really be so much fighting in Europe. Well, depending on how long the fighting here lasts, but the thing that we'll definitely be doing, though, is fighting our northern neighbor Canada here. What's that? Wow. Trouble with the map. Okay. There we go. It's that they have most of their troops lined up along our northern border, and we have all of ours lined along it too. So they're definitely expecting us to fight them, it would seem. Researching it. Somalia joins the Cargo Pact. Interesting. Have them start to infiltrate Canada a little bit here. Lithuania has capitulated. Jesus, the Entente is just... not Entente, I mean the syndicalists are just on a roll. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to make it on time. I don't know. So that really all depends on how many major German cities end up falling. So if they fall, I just might end up having to take most of the German states myself to decide their fate. But, longest bombing. Marv. Hello. This is an interesting one. Stone Mountain in Georgia. Within the deep south in Stone Mountain lies a massive bas relief carving of the 3 Confederate figures, Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson. The site was also the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan. Many wish to remove such blight, especially as other monuments to the Confederacy are torn down. However, people are divided as to what to do about the relief. Some believe it should be destroyed. James Ford, his cynical turn, wishes to chisel down the Confederates and replace them with Jimmy, John Brown, George Padmore. These, being the leaders of African American emancipation, feels best inspire the new America. Diego Rivera, the artist behind the renovation of Rockefeller Plaza, suggests a cheap and honorable compromise. The relief is to be chiseled down to replace the Confederates with leaders of the Socialist Revolution, those being Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin, and John Reed. And then we have three options. We can chisel down the relief to show the history of socialism, chisel it down to show the heroes of emancipation, or destroy it entirely. Honestly, I don't really want to destroy it entirely, but at the same time, I'm not going to have it show the history of socialism either, but instead we are going to have it show the heroes of emancipation. But one thing too, just about since I mentioned it, the Confederate monuments, kind of where I stand on that whole debate is honestly that the only places that I personally believe should house Confederate monuments of any kind are those essentially in these places. Battlefield sites, in Civil War cemeteries, historic reenactments, and museums. If it's not in any of those four places, they shouldn't be there. And that's where I stand on the issue of Confederate monuments, and Northern East Asia is capitulated. And White Ruthafania. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to join the war. Gee, I was not expecting this Russian steamroller. I mean, they're not as industrialized as the Soviets in our actual timeline at this point, so it's just kind of a surprise to me. Whatever. Let's move on to the south. Build those states. Next step. And we'll do the good syndicalist soldier. Our place is next to our brothers in Europe. We must help them, and through their victory, help syndicalism spread to the rest of the world. And once this is done, it'll unlock the decision to join the International. Which is good, because I want to place at the negotiation table. Socialist Republic of Iran has joined the Cairo Pact. Well, it looks as though the Ottomans have... Yep, they've surrendered. So, Egypt has greatly expanded, as well as Saudi Arabia, and Iran, honestly, has pretty much stayed the same. But one thing to note, though, is that Kurdistan is now actually a place. So, congratulations to the Kurds on winning their independence in this timeline. Although I do honestly hope there is a Kurdistan in reality at some point, because they really do deserve their own nation at this point of everything that's happened to them in recent years. Honestly, just with everything that happened to them, well, just in the Middle East in general, in the past 100 years is insane. The U.S. Trilogy by John Dos Passos. Montage, modernist writing, and socialist support comes together in John Dos Passos' new book, USA. The story itself is an examination of 12 Americas, lived through the Depression and Revolution. Passos' writing combines snippets of newspapers, propaganda, and the conversations he recalls on the streets during the terrifying months before liberation. Such an unorthodox and creative writing is usually praised by the Americans. Writers' Congress, but they have remained silent. This is due to the book's depiction of illegal killings that took place throughout America during the Civil War by our soldiers. Dos Passos has defended this inclusion, saying that the truth in art, as he shows, it must still exist even if it breaks. To the nominal leader of the Writers' Congress, Ernest Hemingway, this book amounted to treason and sedition against the socialist government. However, his decision to censor the book obtained Dos Passos was overruled by the Congress. And we either can decide that Hemingway is right or calm him down. We're going to calm him down, both because it's more of the right thing to do and it helps to increase our stability. And we definitely need to increase our stability. Of unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of our carriers or battleships will be deployed quite yet until after the war's broken out, so, which is disappointing, but whatever. So, the Brits are making a little bit of a comeback here in Cornwall, and then over in Munster, the Irish are still holding out. One thing to note too, actually, is that this part of Ireland here is actually where my mom's side of the family originates from. It's that my grandfather, his entire family, was from the County Cork region. It's actually part of the nobility back in medieval times too. Part of the Oaklaven clan in that area. Although, either when we moved to the United States during the famine or when the British took over, they decided to rename themselves to Clifford. Had the name anglicized that way. Looks like they're about to retake their territory there. But yeah, the family name's been Clifford to this day. Although while my might be a quarter Irish, the rest is pretty much full-blood German. Baltic duchies capitulated again. Yeah, my paternal grandfather, my dad's dad, was actually born in Berlin. His family actually immigrated to the United States and Germany. So my great-grandparents brought my toddler-aged grandfather with them to the United States when he was like 5 years old. So, Ethiopia is just gonna get steamrolled here, I think. Let's get this done. We need to increase our construction speed. Oh, wait. Yeah, have them do that instead, actually. Strong water. Redless terrace. And we're down to weakened longest resistance. We have succeeded in destroying some main safe houses and arresting some key ringleaders, but a few notable terrorists remain at large. Analysts still expect more bombings and attacks, but nothing of the magnitude of the first months of our occupation. And then at the same time, we're down to strong Federalist occupation. So I'm sure you've all noticed that the amount of bombings have really decreased recently. Recruit a Canadian operative. This decision is pretty much done, which is good. But before we do that, we'll start the next step: emancipation for all. Foolish and vain is the working man that makes the color of his skin the stepping stone to his imaginary superiority. Proletariat of all colors and creed fought and bled to build our new America. The loyal immigrant shall also be afforded natural-born citizenship in the spirit of emancipation. So, which is good. So essentially we're gonna end Jim Crow once and for all, and give all Americans, regardless of what race they are, proper rights. Which is what they should be, especially with everything going on now with the Black Lives Matter protests and whatnot. And I fully support their things, because police brutality in this country, it's nuts. It needs to come to an end. I mean, if you don't agree with that, well, I don't really know what to say to you then. But, yeah, then we have our decision then to join in the war. And when we do that, we are essentially going to be setting ourselves up for the next phase here, which is a war with our northern neighbor here then as well, and what will eventually become known as War Plan Red. But for that, though, I think I will save that for the next time that we get here, because it is getting kind of late. It is actually past midnight right now, but I appreciate you guys for watching these past few episodes, so Thank you guys for watching. This has been TheBlueBadger, signing off for now. I'll see you guys next time.